Hi, everybody. This is Alfie Whattam from the Alfie Whattam Technology Podcast. This is episode 63. As always, we are sponsored by welovealpha.com. If you're a software developer looking for new opportunities in the UK, or if you're an engineering manager looking to scale your team, then welovealpha.com is the place to go to advance your career as a developer or to grow and advance your team as a manager. So today on the podcast, I'm joined by a previous guest who has come back for 2.0 or maybe 3.0. I think you've helped out with like an expert panel bit before and stuff in the past. So do you want to just give us a quick intro and tell everybody who you are?
Yeah, hello. I'm Joakim Everstin, and I work as the tech director for a digital media agency called Coherence. I'm really happy to be back. Thanks for inviting me again, Alfie.
Awesome. All right, good to catch up, mate. And we'll go straight into the hot stories of the week. See what's been happening in the world of tech. So Airbnb to begin with, they are back again, doing really, really well. So Airbnb bookings hit record high as travel recovers. So Airbnb said travel demand remained strong despite concerns around economic slowdown and rising prices hitting households. So nearly 104 million nights and experiences were booked on the platform in April through June period, a record high for the lodging website. That's insane. That's 100 million just in a couple of months. That's crazy. So long-term stays continued to be the fastest growing type of travel, a shift driven by the rise of remote work. But international and city travel, which has lagged, has also recovered. The company said it was now in the middle of its strongest peak summer travel season yet, and it's ensured investors that it was well poised for whatever may hit the economy. You understand this world pretty well, don't you, mate? Because you've obviously worked in similar types of companies before.
Yeah.
What do you think about all this, that it's all recovered now?
So I think, the focus from my side was service departments. And I think the COVID pandemic played really well into that business model because people are more aware and people might be more scared as well to stay in big, huge hotels because, as you know, every room is serviced by sometimes hundreds of people going in and out. And if one of them has COVID, you ultimately might get COVID from that person. And I also think that, the newest generation of business travelers, they don't really appreciate to stay in hotels. They want to stay in sort of a more personal space. And if I just look back at my own travel history, it's pretty much like when I traveled for work, that behavior was applied even when I traveled privately. And I think it's the same thing, even though that business travel haven't reached the levels that they used to be. I think because people got more and more used to stay not in a hotel, and you want something more personal.
Yeah.
And that then applies. So you can't really, it's getting harder and harder to distinguish between business travel and leisure travel. And we used to call it leisure because it all blends in. And sometimes as well, especially younger business travelers, they say, well, if I'm going to go on a long haul, if I'm going to New York or if I'm going to Johannesburg or something where it's a long flight, I'm going to take 1 or 2 days off and just do sightseeing or whatever. And that also it's a good option to stay in an Airbnb, and it's more personal and you get to stay in areas that you might not be in. Because younger people are more curious as well to see not only the tourist attractions in cities.
I am seeing, as a recruiter, so many people at the moment who are remote working, basically using that as an opportunity to travel the world and stay in a different country and work there for a number of months. And it does come with sometimes tax challenges and complications, but when you can figure it out, obviously it's amazing. What was that word you used? Leisure?
Leisure.
I've
Business
never
and
heard
leisure
that,
mixed.
that's cool. Yeah, they're basically living for pleasure. I understand what you mean around kind of business travel not being as big as it used to be. I think just anecdotally, I'd agree with that. But that's more with Zoom, that's more with Teams, that's more, I used to do all my podcasts in person, and now I can just jump on a quick call. And even though we're both in London, it's just as easy doing it, if not easier doing it this way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, unfortunately, there's still a lot to wish from the video platforms, because, you know, if you have a couple of people on the call and one of them have a bad connection, that disrupts the whole call, because they haven't yet figured out how to sort of maybe turn that camera off automatically,
Sure.
or something, to just not have that interruption.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's never going to be quite the same, but it's getting there. Well, one thing I noticed about Airbnb, I saw this on a separate news story on the show the other week, is they've just banned parties now in all Airbnbs globally, which I think is kind of interesting, really. I suppose the main like negative perception with Airbnb is that your house will get trashed if you rent it out.
Yeah.
I suppose that, you know, by making it policy to ban them, that kind of hopefully will help. I also saw they've just left China as well, due to the lockdowns. I think it was like less than 1% of their profit anyway, so it wasn't a big loss for them. But you know, interesting, the zero COVID policy has caused them to go, look, we don't want to be part of this. Let's get out. You know, it's really hurting our business, because a business like Airbnb can't survive on, you know, with lockdowns, right?
No, and I think it ties back to the fact that people would, I think, on the top of their mind, think that a private flat is more safe than a hotel room, because the access to it.
Yeah, no, I certainly feel that way. Okay, cool. The next story in the news is actually a product which we don't do often, certainly not a sponsored product, but Insta360 Link will make you look like a work meeting wizard. I just thought this was really, really cool. It's sort of like a next generation webcam almost. So most webcams feel like drab PC accessories rather than proper cameras, but action cam maker Insta360 is aiming to take them up a notch with its new 4K gesture-controlled computer cam. The Insta360 Link packs a lot of the tech seen in tough cams like the Insta360 One RS, like a sensor and phase detector autofocus, and combines them with a 3-axis gimbal and some clever software tricks so it can move and follow you around, essentially. The result is a webcam that's also good enough to double as a vlogging or live streaming camera. Some of the software skills are similar to the ones we've already seen from the likes of Apple and Meta, like Apple's Center Stage for iPads. That's really cool, worth checking out if you haven't seen it. The Link can track your movements to keep you in frame as you move around. But because the Link has a gimbal that physically moves the camera around, it should retain better image quality than the digital zoom used in Apple's equivalent. I know Facebook and Meta's Portal has got a similar thing. I think the new Alexas have got this in, where if you're walking around your kitchen, the video will zoom in and follow you around. This is meant to be better because it's physically moving as part of the hardware. It's pretty cool, in my opinion. But you know, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I also, when I saw it, when I clicked the link, I was like, oh, this is cool, man. And then, but because of my job, I have to look at the application of it.
Yeah.
And what I just mentioned before with the streaming quality, that, you know, obviously 4K requires a lot of bandwidth, and that tool might as well be a disruptor rather than a feature. I mean, that you could flip it down, so whatever you're working on your desktop, it will capture that and things. But I was thinking about a different perspectives of it, because as you know, we've been used now to 2 years of not meeting people in real life and just being on a screen, and ultimately it would be great if everyone, but I think this is the same as with autonomous cars. I always believe that if we're going to have autonomous cars in London, they all need to be autonomous. If you drop one human into the mix there, it's not going to work, because there will be accidents because of the human factor. And I think it's the same, but not the same with these cameras. If everyone have them, then you can create a more dynamic video meeting, when, you know, you can move around and the camera would follow you, and it could be like a actual virtual meeting space where people could move around and talk to each other. And actually, I gave my mom a Facebook portal for Christmas, and it's
cool.
really great because
Yeah.
I mean, when she's in the kitchen cooking and stuff, moving around, and you know that used to be really irritating when she was trying to hold the phone and it was all shaky. But now it's sit there and she can move around and we can speak, and great image quality, great sound, and also I think for these guys it's a little bit bad timing because I did some research around, you know, video conference software and cameras.
Sure.
And the next release of Mac OS is going to support so that you can just put your phone and use that megapixel camera on your laptop, and
it's magnetic, right? It sticks.
Yeah. So they're creating a special stand for it.
Yeah.
And obviously the software in the Apple camera already follows and do things like that. So if you already have an iPhone, which I have, I wouldn't necessarily buy this camera. I would buy it because I wanted to try it out and just because it's cool. But I think they're going to struggle a little bit with you know, reaching out because it's quite pricey as well. So
I noticed that. So £319. That's a lot of money for a webcam for the majority of people. I mean, even though most people's webcam that gets built into their computer is not great quality, I mean, most people would rather have that than £319. And especially if you can just get a little magnet to stick your iPhone to for the new Apple one. So I think that's a good point. Just to show people what you were referring to a second ago about how you can see your hands. The way that it kind of focuses down, it will show what you're drawing essentially. So that obviously is pretty groundbreaking if you're like a teacher or you're doing like an online course or I was watching a video demonstration of people playing poker doing this and like a video call together, which is pretty cool. So the applications are there, but I think you're right. You know, a big tech firm like Apple could, in theory, you know, kind of destroy a startup which is trying to enter this market, right?
Yeah, and I think they have been keeping a close eye on these innovators that do all these cool things because they have the power of, you know, Mac users because they're already on the same platform and they connect seamlessly. You know, it's just beautiful how they work together, and for them to rock up like a new functionality to follow you, which they already do. Yeah, is not the struggle as if you're a startup. But I mean, I wish those guys good luck because it is a very cool product.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. I've always wondered why Zoom never released their own webcam, given that I know Zoom's a software company, but they have just, you associate the word Zoom with video calls. If they released a Zoom webcam, I think just from a pure branding play, it might pick up. But I like your comment earlier about how all Apple connected devices just seamlessly work together. I had a piece on this on a previous episode a couple of weeks ago where that they've just now got rid of, or they're rumored to be getting rid of, the headphone jack on all the iPads, as well as obviously it's already not done on the iPhone. So you have to use AirPods or some other wireless headphones, which is good and bad, right? You know, it's bad from the perspective of you kind of have to buy more Apple products, but it's good from the perspective of if you do that, you know, the experience is just flawless and it works together throughout them. So good and bad, really.
Yeah, I completely agree. And sometimes I actually use my AirPods, the Pro model, when I fly, and put the noise cancellation on. They're like the best noise cancelling phones without any sounding.
Yeah, noise cancellation has come so far just in the past couple of years. I remember trialing it a couple of years ago and it was terrible, but now it's unreal how good it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Last story of the episode. So Spotify and Apple Music could face major competition from TikTok. So TikTok Music could be the next big music streaming service. So TikTok may be working on a rival, I'm sure they are, to Spotify and Apple Music based on a new trademark application its parent company ByteDance just filed in the US. The trademark is for a service called TikTok Music. Not only does the name imply that it'll be a rival to the world's best music streaming services, but the trademark application spells it out for us. ByteDance calls TikTok Music a smartphone and computer application that enables users to purchase, play, share, and download music, as well as offering the ability to listen to non-downloadable audio and video. That's basically Spotify and Apple clone. When I say clone, I mean, you know, they don't own that market. Obviously, TikTok are allowed to do that if they want to. But ByteDance has also described the service as having advertising services, perhaps implying there'll be an ad-supported option like Spotify's free tier. However, we'll have to wait and see what it announces if it launches a service at all. Obviously, we see that all the time with big tech companies trying everything and then only picking a few of those horses after they are developed and picking the ones that actually take off. But what do you think about TikTok and potentially entering the music space?
I think it's brilliant, simply brilliant, because like you said before about Zoom, why don't they create a camera? And I always believed, and when I was doing keynotes for Sabre back in the days, I always used to almost like tell people that be where your customers are and your target groups. Obviously, they have a huge target group. Why not introduce a service that kids get not only addicted to, but as they grow older, they are so used to the platform that they might as well consume the music from the same platform. I think it's a brilliant move. Some people would say, well, why don't they stick to what they're good at, which is short videos of stupid things, you know? But, you know, when as people, they already know that their users spend so much time on the platform. So, and they're just capitalizing on the fact that they can introduce a new branch into what is already successful. I agree with you. You have to be careful that you don't overdo it so that it sort of takes over. I remember when Facebook introduced ads. That's the point when I stopped using Facebook because it was just too annoying.
Yeah.
So it's a fine line where you can capitalize and continue to have that revenue stream grow over time.
Yeah, no, TikTok is an interesting one. What about the people that say, have you ever read TikTok's terms of service? And I say that knowing that you haven't actually read the document, but what's inside that for a lot of people is pretty terrifying. So I'm sure all the other big apps probably, you know, have similar things in their T's and C's as well. But with TikTok in particular, you just by downloading the app on your phone, it sends, you know, geolocation data to the company. It can recognize your keystroke patterns even when you're not using the app. Gets access to your calendar. I was speaking to somebody the other day on the podcast, a girl called Laura, who is the head of development for a political technology firm, and she was saying that the amount of data that TikTok collects is just mind-blowing compared to the other social media platforms. And obviously there are questions around you know, where that data is going. The UK Parliament just banned TikTok use in you know, within their building, as far as I'm aware, or they close down their account or something along those lines. What do you think about the people that kind of are anti-TikTok for those reasons?
You know, this whole data discussion, we could spend probably a whole podcast episode around it. And you know, if you only think about the amount of data that is on the internet about you, it would be, you know, lorries full of printed paper to just cover all the data that they have on you. And, you know, I have Alexa devices in all my rooms. And for Alexa to work and for Siri to work, it means that it has to listen all the time, because otherwise it wouldn't pick up the keyword. So, you know, sure, you can be afraid of what I'm sure they sort of encrypt it in a way, because this keyword stroke would mean that they could actually figure out your passwords. And there must be a caveat to that statement, that they can't actually see the sequence of how
There must be, right? Otherwise it would have been banned everywhere, right? Surely.
I mean, someone must have picked it up and say, well, if you can, you know, look at whatever I do on my phone, that's Big Brother behavior, and that I'm against. But I'm sure they've done it clever, and for the life of me, I don't understand why they need that data, because it, as I said, it's a platform to post silly movies of you doing still silly things, right?
It's crazy how I was speaking to a friend that is in a band, and he was telling me that it's almost impossible for a song now to go viral if it's not used in a TikTok meme, essentially. If you need a 7-second, 10-second little snippet from your song which has got a hook to it which people can get behind. You put that on a meme, people will use that on their TikToks, and that's now what's making songs get into the charts rather than the old school way of doing it. So it's amazing how much power they've got on the music industry. It's like, why don't they make their own music streaming platform? It's almost inevitable, right?
Exactly, and I think that format is great as well, because it's long enough for you to pay attention to it, but it's short enough for you not to get bored.
Yeah.
And from a business perspective, that is your perfect elevator pitch. If you can fit that in a TikTok video, you are really if you can describe what you do and why people should pay for something that you do in a TikTok video, then you will be super successful.
It's crazy how quick, to me, the platform came to prominence, and other social media platforms didn't have an opportunity to catch up, and now are catching up from behind. Like with Instagram, Reels has basically become a clone of TikTok, and Facebook the other day has just closed down its entire live shopping feature, which I didn't even know was a thing, to be honest. So I don't know how big it was, but they've done that to focus on Facebook Reels, which is once again their version. And Meta owns Facebook and Instagram, so they've got multiple versions of TikTok to try to win that war. So, but you get it, right? It's addicting. It takes up your entire screen. It's short videos. The more you watch of a particular video, the more it will show you that exact same type of content. And if kids are getting their phones for the first times, and that's the first app they're really using, then game over. They've won, right?
Yeah, totally. And I'd be super excited to see the algorithms for how they present the next video and the next video, because they have all this massive amounts of data that they can just mine and slice and dice in, so they could pretty much predict what age the user is by the kind of videos that they're watching. So it's really cool, a really cool company, I have to say, from a data perspective.
Okay, cool. Well, look, awesome to catch up with you again. Been great to have you back on the show, and hopefully we can do this again in a couple of months. It'd be awesome if we can make it a regular thing. But thank you for your time. Thanks to the viewers for tuning in. Obviously, we'll be back in the next couple of days. Make sure you subscribe on Spotify for all the latest tech news. And have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Imagine if you were able to hire the next Elon Musk. Or if you got a job at Facebook, back when it was just a startup. Well, these people and these opportunities, they are still out there, and we have access to them. Access to all of them. At Alpha Technology, we specialise in software development recruitment across London and the UK. From React to Java to C# and more. We represent the best front-end, back-end, and full-stack engineers on the market. This includes top developers from Meta, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, and more. Our clients operate across AI, blockchain, VR, AR, fintech, edtech, health tech, and more. From startups to global enterprises and everything in between. But Alpha isn't just a recruitment agency. We are also a tech community. We host podcasts, run meetup events, and lead ED&I initiatives, supporting women in technology, BAME individuals, and the Tech for Good ecosystem. So, if you're a company looking to hire software engineers, or if you're a developer open to new opportunities yourself, then we are here to help. Alpha Technology. Recruiting for the future.